FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
We have our audio here of we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but the other evening, if you were watching Sean Hannity's show, the premiere of this new film, it's called Undefeated, and Real Clear Politics described this film as a sweeping epic. It's a film that's designed to lay rest doubts about Palin's political seriousness following her resignation as Alaska's governor back in July of 2009. Now, the filmmaker behind this has come out with some fantastic conservative documentaries. Obviously, you remember Fire from the Heartland. You also there's so many movies that Steve Bannon, who joins us on the phone, has made. He is the filmmaker behind this movie. Steve, good afternoon to you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, Dana, how you doing? Thanks for making time to have me on the show today.
Always, you're always welcome. So, Steve, I've been reading because no one knew really. I think that you were doing this. They apparently what had happened, and totally correct me if I'm wrong. There's been so many different stories on this. Is that as Governor Palin was getting ready to leave her office, she got in touch with you and said, "We need to make a documentary about this." How did this all happen?
No. Actually, it was after the Great Tea Party victory last November. Mm-hmm. Her staff, the people at the PAC, Rebecca Mansour and Tim Crawford, reached out to me about making either a video or some 20-minute video or some YouTube short videos about her time as governor. And I had studied up somewhat on the topic, and I thought there was a great story. And then I said, look, guys, I don't work for PACs. I don't do political commercials. I certainly don't do YouTube stuff. I make films. Right. And I've got a company, Victory Films. I've got a partner, Glenn Evans, and some other partners that are partners in it, and my co-producer. And I said, look, we're a for-profit entity. We think there's a huge story here. And if there's really the story, I need to talk to some of the guys who are in Alaska in your administration. They're very hard to get to. If you can make some introductions, I will make a feature film, but I'll finance it. My company will finance it, my partners. You guys will have no creative control, no real creative input. I have a way I want to tell this story. And you've seen my other films. And if you're comfortable with that, I'll go forward and I'll show you a finished film, in 7, 8, 9 months. So they agreed to that, and we went off to the races and showed them a finished film about a week ago. And we're getting ready to release this thing in late June, early July.
Fantastic. Right during Iowa time.
Well, I think what we want to do, this is, we want to put this film in theaters. It's like Fire from the Heartland. In fact, it's cut like a film. It's going to have, a big score and big visuals, and it's an incredibly compelling story. And kind of a Mr. Smith Goes to Washington type tale. Right. And I think it plays. We've shown it now to some test audiences. It plays very well on the big screen. We're in conversations now with theater owners, so we're going to take it. I think we're planning on just doing some premieres in states like Iowa and South Carolina, New Hampshire, Nevada. But we're putting this out in theaters and going to go make a commercial run on this.
Now, the film, the trailer that I saw is interesting because in just what I've seen, and I know that you've only been screening it a little bit here and there, and just what I've seen, it almost showed to me. It seems like it's pitting Palin against oil companies when she discusses oil in Alaska and everything that she had to mediate and negotiate, all of that when she was governor. That I thought was incredibly interesting, especially because you have some, which I think maybe some of the establishment folks who are saying you can't criticize the oil companies at all, you can't say anything bad about them. It's really what do you think that Governor Palin is hoping to accomplish with this film, or what are you hoping to accomplish with this film? Well,
I don't know what she's hoping to accomplish. Like I said, we have no real contact with her political group. She's doing, I don't know if she's going to run for president or if she's not going to run for president, or what her PAC is doing. It's not. The story I told was really the story that was outlined. There's 2 books out there. One is by Conroy and Walsh called Sarah from Alaska, and the first part of that is an incredibly dynamic story about her time as governor, and then Going Rogue, which is the first half of that, which I don't think a lot of people bought, but obviously not many people read.
Right.
It shows this reformer who kind of comes out of nowhere and really takes on the political class, particularly the Republican establishment in Alaska, and then takes on big oil. and really takes it on from a populist perspective and really a perspective of, doing what's right for the people of Alaska. And it's an incredibly compelling. So that the clip, the film, as you remember, Dana, you were in Fire from the Heartland. Normally the documentary films I make, the features, are 80 minutes long. Mm-hmm. This film's 2 hours long. And one of the reasons is I spend a lot of time of her time as governor. Almost, I think, 45 minutes of the film or 30 minutes of the film is about her term as governor. And so we really go into the details. And that's why when Sean played the clip the other night, I wanted to show at least part of the aspects of what happened when she was when she was governor and kind of in direct combat with ExxonMobil.
Wow. Well, it was very compelling, the portion of the trailer that I saw. Is this going to sort of, and I know you don't talk to her team, and you don't, I mean, you did a documentary about this, and this isn't, like something like you're working with her or her PAC or anything like that, but from what you've seen and from your perspective, is it in your opinion, you think that this film could possibly be some kind of I don't know, not launching pad, that's not the right word, but is she getting ready to run for office? Is this setting a narrative?
Know, but here's why I thought the film, because I thought the story lent itself to that. When we started making the story, or started making the film, I thought the story itself, and I've tested in front of now some liberal audiences of guys in Hollywood who are in the distribution side and guys who buy rights and who run theater chains, and they find the story incredibly compelling. I said, here's the amazing thing. This woman is one of the most well-known people in the world. She's almost a global celebrity, right? She's incredibly, her image is everywhere. And yet, very few people really know the story. And she is really kind of so humble, she never really talks about it. She doesn't really talk much about her time as governor. I mean, she mentions it and she talks about it, but she's not a self-promoter. So I thought that this story would be so fresh that I thought it would be, almost a redefining or a kind of reintroduction to the American people of who Governor Palin. I don't think you can understand Sarah Palin or the meaning of Sarah Palin until you understand the stewardship of Governor Palin. And I felt if I could tell the story of her stewardship, that people would really, understand her better. And so that's what we focus on her time as governor. And I think so far as we've tested this and had some test screenings, it's working quite well.
Right. You have said this film is a call to action for a campaign like 1976, Reagan versus the establishment. Let's have a good old-fashioned brouhaha. Is this a shot across the bow to the establishment?
I think that when you see this, if you take her life story, and one of the most, we had a screening here in Washington Day. By the way, I'm coming out to St. Louis to screen it with you and the folks out in St. Louis, because I want to get your feedback. We'll be out there in a week or two. But yes. The feedback here is that, when you look at the convention speech, and now you see it, you're over an hour into the movie before we even get to the convention, that it puts that speech in a very different context. You actually now understand what she was trying to say. Before it looked like performance. Now you understand that it had a tremendous amount of context to it. And so I think it's truly a very much a Tea Party speech. As you know, I made 3 films on the Tea Party. Mm-hmm. I'm a strong believer in the working men and women in this country, in the American middle class, and that they have to get engaged and they have to take their country back from this political class that's been very disengaged in the fundamental concerns of the American people. And I think that this film is going to be the start of a process that's really going to get people discussing, particularly independents, Republicans, Tea Party members, and conservatives, to have a debate, a discussion, and a campaign that's very reminiscent of 1976.
Well, I'm so looking forward to seeing this. This is, I think, going to really shake things up. If all of the folks who've screened it, they're saying some amazing things. Steve Bannon, filmmaker behind Fire from the Heartland, Generation Zero, In the Face of Evil, and now Undefeated as well. Always a pleasure to have you on. Can't wait to see you, Steve.
Dana, thanks, and tell Michelle and the gang I'll be out there in a week or so to show it to you guys.
Will do. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye.